Hello everyone, and welcome to the third in a series of webinars for the Accountech.Live Expo coming in November 13th and 14th. My name is Sholto McPherson. I'm the editor of digitalfirst.com and I'm the head of content for Accountech.Live. Thank you so much for spending your lunch hour here on this webinar and eating your beef stroganoff or whatever at your desk. If you could please just let me know if you can hear me by typing into the chat down the side there what you're having for lunch. So I know I'm not talking to, well, let's get rid of that. Mute myself. Can you hear me okay? All good? All right, here we go. So today we're going to talk about a topic which, well, I think it's one of the coolest things, probably the coolest topic in the whole of the expo. And that may annoy a couple of people. There's lots of amazing stuff there, but this for me, I got a favorite, and this is it. So today we're talking about data engineering in accounting firms. Now I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I believe that's where the world's going. And there's several signs that indicate that this will become a trend leading to a brave new world for accountants and accounting firms. The guy talking today is at the very pointy end of this trend. It could be the first accountant turned data engineer in a small and medium firm ever. It could be. His name is Dan Beck. He trained as an accountant, then worked in IT, and is now a technology consultant at Power Tynan, an accounting firm based in Toowoomba. Toowoomba, 2 hours inland of Brisbane. You head west. For our international listeners, Brisbane, northeast of Australia and Queensland up there. And Dan's going to be sharing his experiences bringing data engineering to his firm and his firm's clients. He's also going to be speaking a lot more on this topic on the Tuesday the 13th of November at 4:25 p.m. His session is called How a Regional Firm Uses Data Engineering in Advisory. He has a second session on the Wednesday at 12:25 p.m, which will also be fascinating. How to use BI to replace printed reports in mid-size and large firms. That's been done with Reckon. It's about Reckon APS and how to plug in Microsoft Power BI, which is pretty cool. So, and just to say, Dan's sessions, they're two of 130 sessions and tech talks and roundtables and so on that are happening at Accountech.Live in November 13th and 14th in Melbourne. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dan Beck. Dan, can you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's get your video on. Ask to start video, unmute.
Hello, hello, hello.
Excellent. So I forgot to put in my headphones in. There's something missing. How you doing, Dan?
Mate, I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
Excellent, excellent. Good to have you on the show. Listen, I think a lot of people will be saying, well, what the hell is data engineering anyway? So can you give us a layman's explanation of what it means to you?
Yeah, so, and this is a common question that I get. And so let me put it in a couple of different ways. So okay. We know what data analysis is. Okay, well, most accountants should, because most accountants do data analysis whether they realize or not. Okay, so data analysis is taking the data that you've got and analyzing it for trends and looking for outcomes in data. Now, what underlies all of that is normally a data engineer that presents that data to you in a clean and consistent manner. So, yeah, you think about building a house, you've normally got an engineer who makes sure that all the structure's right, that the data's all pulled in, that it's clean, that it meets codes. And then you've got the builders who then put the pieces together. It's a similar kind of thing. So you got to pull the data together, put it into a consistent format to be able to then sample it and analyze it. So it's a skill that takes a little bit of effort, but it's very worthwhile. And without it, what we find is you can jump to the wrong conclusions because you don't have it clean.
Well, Dan, I just interrupt you. There are going to be people on this call thinking, yeah, I do data and analysis. I don't need a data engineer to do it. So like I just open up an Excel sheet and export from my accounting software and analyze the data. Like when and where do you actually need a data?
Okay. So think of it this way. So say you're analyzing, doing a set of financials. you've got no bank statement, you've got no bank rec, okay? You can start having a look, you can see what someone else has provided you, but how do you know that it's quality and it's consistent? So look, what we do here, and a lot of the time, it's what we talk about is ETL. So that's short for extraction, transformation, and loading. And talked in a few other webinars around that exact topic with some of the guys from Deloitte and things like that. It's very much a case of why is it important? Yes, you can pull data. You can pull data, say, from Xero. You can pull it into an Excel spreadsheet. But being able to pull it in a format that you can then consume and utilize, making sure that you don't accidentally delete data, you don't accidentally transcribe anything or anything else like that, becomes massively important.
Yeah, Dan, you're freaking everyone out with these terms, ETL. Like, let's just step it back a bit and give it to me like in accounting.
Yep.
So what is, before you go to ETL, if you're doing it with Excel spreadsheets or whatever, what is that process for most people?
Cool. So got an Excel spreadsheet, you've got the data together. So essentially all we're talking about here is making sure that the data is in a format. So columns, rows, everything else like that. And that is essentially what data engineering is putting it into a format together. So you've got information that is coming together. So you've got a profit and loss. Bring it together, you've exported it from Xero, you've got it in a format. It's just about moving things like headings, titles, things like that that don't provide any value to the analysis point of view.
But that just sounds like formatting a spreadsheet. How is that?
Correct, but how do you do that automatically, all the time, in real time? How do you do it consistently so that nobody ever has to touch it? And that is where it gets really, really cool. So, some of the things that we've been doing with clients internally is how do you pull that financial information in real time to present to them in real time and then analyze that data. So we're working with one client at the moment where they need to know all the transactions that are coming into their bank account. Easy. Someone could run a report off, run a profit and loss, or we can simply load that data from Xero and present it in real time to them. And there's many ways to do that in many different programs. It's about just getting it consistently and automatically.
What type of business was that? What were they doing, that list of transactions?
Yep. So this was this one involved a couple of different things. So it was about bank data and invoicing coming together. So they were a moverless and storage business. So they needed to be able to see in real time when the invoices were paid. They run very much on a cash pay business, so that they could then see the data coming in real time to know, hey, the client's paid, without somebody manually going in and checking data. So, we've used different things like pulling it from their financial packages, pulling it directly from their bank accounts and bank feeds, and things like that to present the information in real time, so that we don't have this delay in execution.
But you can't pull real-time bank feed data from Xero or anywhere else, can you?
You can pull real-time bank data in certain circumstances with certain payment platforms. So in this case, we were using one of those payment platforms to be able to pull some of the information in real time. So that's why it worked for that. But that's actually a really important point. You've actually got to use the limitations of the data. And so what will work, and that's, as we talk about why has this come into an accounting firm, every situation and every client has a different set of circumstances and requirements. And so being able to take something like a Xero file for one client might work. For another client, they might have a information system, an ERP we call it, like with finance, HR, invoicing and everything. They might have a completely different requirement come through. And it's about how can you deliver, how can the advisors, and a lot of this is delivered from the advisory point of view. So, how can the accountants and advisors in business deliver this information to firms without having to do that underlying collection themselves?
So you're kind of like a plumber. A data engineer is like a plumber who plumbs together all these different systems.
Perfect.
and just
Perfect analogy.
dumps the data into a spreadsheet or a dashboard or whatever.
Correct.
So what was that? What was the firm doing before you got into this whole data engineering thing? Like, how would you have helped that company in the past?
So really interesting. A lot of manual work. So what's really interesting about this example was at first they came to us to say, hey, do you know anybody good for reception?
Right.
Okay. And the question came as their advisor is, what do you need? What are you looking for? Oh, look, we're looking for someone who can bring together this. They've got to go and check this. They've got to go and pull this information into one system that transfers it across to another system to do all of this. How much time does that take each day? Oh, it takes them 3 hours. So they need to be able to do that, and they need to be able to do customer facing. And we're like, okay, what type of person would you look for if they didn't have to do that set? I would look for someone completely different. There'd be customer service plus there'd be sales. So, it was a conversation that started as, how do we find a person to do reception and some essentially manual data entry, to now we're finding somebody who can do customer service and sales. So it's about identifying where the inefficiencies are and then what data do you already have. In this case, we didn't have to invent any data. We didn't have to get them to collect anything additional. All we had to do was the data engineering piece, which was to connect the various different systems together so that they would talk to each other.
So what skills do you need as a data engineer to do that in general and that specific job? Why don't we start there?
Okay. So in general, I like to break it into a couple of different things. And first is problem recognition. And, in this instance, the problem that came through was we need somebody to perform a role. Okay. Now, that normally would be an advisory type position, but it's looking at the problem and actually thinking about what's the real problem we're trying to solve here. We're not actually trying to find a person to do that function. We actually can do the function differently by looking at the problem in a different way. And this is why I think that in advisory firms, this is why it becomes so important. We're already identifying these issues for our clients. Okay, everyone already is. At the moment, though, a lot of firms go, okay, that's too hard. Let's go and find your receptionist. What we're trying to do is then say, okay, let's take that. So in this situation, what we do is we've connected. So they've got an on-premises system, so not cloud-based, which makes the whole thing a little bit more complicated. Not impossible, but more complicated. So what we do there is we built a bit of a connector. And when I say building it makes it sound like it's a lot of work. We used existing off-the-shelf technologies. There was in this, it's connecting data sources, which in this case was a database, up to a reporting service, which was Power BI and Xero. So Xero's already got one of the best API stacks out there to connect data to. And then it was just making sure that we could link the data together. So it started off as a bit of a scoping session, working out exactly what the requirements were. And then sitting down with the business owner, with the accountant. The accountant was there throughout the entire process. And then talking to the client's IT provider at the same time. None of this stuff happens in isolation, but what you need is this mix of skills from, you can talk to the IT guy, you can talk to the accountant, you can talk to the client.
So what's the bottom line for Power Tynan as an accounting firm to say, hey, we've got a data engineer. What does it mean for the kinds of services you can offer your clients or how the firm operates?
Yeah, so Power Tynan's got a underlying undocumented catch cry, which is yes, we can. So in real world, what that means is if any time a client has got a need, we will find a solution. And what we started finding was that more and more, we weren't getting hit with financial issues. We weren't getting hit with, we need to fix this, we need to get a loan, we need to talk about profitability. More and more they became, we need to fix an operational issue. We know that there's a way to fix it, we just don't know where to start. So for years, I've been sitting there and been helping firms, working in big firms and small firms, and everything else. And one day, one of the guys came to me and said, "Look, I've got this client here. They need some help. Can we help them?" Yes, we can. And that's as simply as how it all started. So took a business problem and turned it into a business solution as quickly and easily as we could. With all of these things, we started from a low base, probably a higher base than a lot of firms start with. But in terms of, I had a few skills in IT and a few skills in advisory, but on the whole, there wasn't anything in there that, a lot of the stuff that came out of it was learnt as we did. And I think that is key.
So what exactly are you selling? Because it's like the operations, you're automating operations for the purpose of reporting in some manner, right?
Correct.
How do you market and sell that service?
So how do we market and sell that? So look, and it's a hard thing to describe. And what we often do is we often sit down with people and talk about pain points and where they're offering. So one of the ones that I don't want to give the story away, because we're talking about a big example at Accountech about a particular firm and a particular business problem. So I encourage everyone to come along and have a look at that. But without giving too much away, we sat down with a firm who had, the accountants brought us in and said, this is the problem that we're trying to solve. And the problem there was, we need to better use labour. No, we're spending a lot of money. How do we better use it? You know, we're spending millions of dollars, and how do we do it? And a lot of it came down to, well, what can we do? There must be a better way of doing it. So a lot of the time, sorry?
What was the pain point?
Decreasing margins.
Right, okay.
Decreasing margins. So they knew that, so in this particular example, they use a lot of labour hire. So, but they've got a very, very strong pipeline. So they know exactly weeks ahead what they need to produce and manufacture. So from here, what we were able to do is, using the analytics, is sit there and connect their data together to then show them exactly how much labour they needed to perform a given function into the future. From here, we're able to, and this, I'm not going to give away the secret sauce, because that, you've got to come to the actual session to do that. But through that process, we're able to identify inefficiencies, shortcomings, and even performance expectation issues through the whole thing. Now, in these kind of situations, when we're talking to people about this, it all comes back to ROI. What's the ROI on a project like this? And most of the projects that we're doing, the ROIs are measured in weeks or months, not years. So right. You know, in this particular example, it was extremely short ROI time, but it also meant that they were able to keep and retain people. I think that's key and crucial in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, fascinating. So basically, getting back to how you market and sell it, it's effectively IT consulting, and that's really the pitch, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't sound like there's any, you can't really go and say, hey, we've got this data engineering service, you really need it. You can't frame that way.
To tell you the truth, we don't pitch it as a data analytics or data engineering service. We talk about data analytics. So when we're pitching it, we're largely pitching it to clients and to other firms around process and efficiency improvement. Because you start talking about data engineering, most people will go blank. Because they're like, okay, it's a bit like anyone starts talking about machine learning and AI. People immediately go, okay, look, there's got to be some rocket scientist that looks after that. Yeah, it's not for me, let's move on. Then you start talking to them about, well, okay, let's talk about data analysis and the fact that you as an accountant already do it. Now, what if you had all the information you needed to be able to do that analysis? What if you had all that information right when you needed it and automatically?
So, yeah, you mentioned you're already working with firms who use those services to do stuff.
Yeah.
How do they get to the point where they realize they can do more analysis than just what's in the P&L or whatever, and say, you know what would be really cool if we got that data from that system over there? I mean, I wonder how, like, is that a certain type of firm that's ready for that, or they? What's a profile, I guess?
Yeah. Okay. So most of the firms, so we've done it with quite a few firms now. Most of the firms that are doing it are, I would call, medium-sized firms, couple of partner firms who have got the want and the need to see what is there beyond the future. So what I mean by that is, at the moment, a lot of them are doing compliance. They want to move into advisory type services. They don't know what it is, but they know that their clients are asking them for more information. And what they don't want to do is that they don't want another firm to just come in here and offer the service to them and then lose the client to the other firm. So what they want to be able to do is skill up their team to be able to offer some of these services and learn how to use the tools that are out there in the market at the moment. So got one in particular who we went down with, and they said, look, I've got this client that I've got a problem with. And it was actually the very first one that we start with. It's always the first one that gets you thinking differently about how you deliver your services. He said, I need to bring together inventory, I need to bring together the franchise system, I need to bring together some of the HR data together. And so they were sitting there and they were saying, we don't know how to do it, but we want to learn how to do it. We know you know how to do it because we knew them through other avenues. And I said, how about you come down and we run a bit of a workshop and you show us how we do it? I said, look, not a problem. But know that what you're trying to do is not something that you're going to learn how to do in 2 days. I said, that's all right. I said, this is a journey. This is something that we've got to learn and we've got to build just like any other skill. So over the course of the next year, we still do to this day, work with them to, they hit a problem, they give us a call, they start talking about the problem, they start talking about the client, what the client requirements are, what the data requirements are. We'll jump in and help them. If it's too big for them to source the data, they still do all the analysis themselves. So we don't even, from the client's point of view, they don't even know that we're sitting there behind them, but they're able to sit there with the client. The client comes in and says, man, I really need to know why utilization is not going well. We've got all of these sick days that are happening. Client calls aren't returning. How do we fix this problem? Now, if you've got an inventory system, practice management system, and a HR system, you can start linking all of that data together to find the trends. And that's what they started doing and started offering that as a service to their clients.
So Power Tynan, you've got roughly, say, 50 staff, yeah?
Yep, correct.
These other mid-sized firms with a couple of partners, they must have, 30, 50 plus, around that staff. Do you expect that firms of that size will inevitably develop or hire somehow someone with data engineering skills? Is that a real expectation?
I think that we're going to see this as a trend that increases over time. I got a phone call 2 weeks ago from another firm that has said, hey, can you help us find someone? Can you help us find someone to bring onto the team to start building these skills and capabilities and run a little bit and help us do interviews for people to bring these skills in? So I think absolutely it's going to be a major area. And commonly I get questions when people start talking about it is, well, as we get more cloud technologies, we're going to need to do less of this stuff. And my response to that is actually I think that the need's going to actually increase. Because what we've now got is we've got these cloud technologies that will talk together. But you've still got to be able to pull the right information at the right time for the right purpose. And that's what a good data engineer will do, is that they'll be able to identify what the problem you're trying to solve, what information is needed and when. So, for instance, there's no good pulling information every 30 seconds if you're only looking at it at a point in time. There's no good pulling information once a month if you needed to know it, for a meeting that's coming up in the afternoon. So we can see more, and as we're working with firms and we start doing projects, they start saying, hey, this is a natural fit inside an advisory firm. We just hadn't thought about how we could do it. Now, that then leads to the next big problem is training and finding these people.
Well, just before we get into that, just want to touch on what you just said. Do you think it is possible to deliver quality advisory services to SMEs without some type of data engineering going on?
Look, I'm going to have a biased response to this answer. Look, do you need a data engineer to do this? I'm going to say no. You don't.
Okay.
But everything comes down to time, effort, and money. Do you want to do a cost-effective service? Then I think you need to add that intelligence into your business. So, we've got firms out there who are doing things like pulling together information from inventory systems, financial systems, HR systems, other operational systems, but they're doing so manually. They're doing so in a case where they'll do a report pack once a month that then gets delivered 2 weeks later once they've had time to do it. Where we're seeing the trend happen is that this information doesn't happen weeks later. It happens now. And when I say now, like within the last hour, we do our firm reporting hourly at times. It's not waiting to a mythical end of month or end of quarter period. So we're starting to see that firms and businesses want their data. They're used to getting their data regularly. So, we had this massive transition from having bank statements to having bank feeds. So you used to get a bank statement once a month and you'd reconcile it. Now, if you're not getting it daily, people are sitting there wondering, how the hell are you managing your business? And I see the same kind of thing happening, and why we will see this as a field that keeps growing is to pull that information together quickly and more accurately. So
just, you mentioned there that you get some reports in your firm hourly. Is that just a humble brag, or is there an actual use for having a
mate, absolutely. So, where we do it is things like when we've got workflow issues and things like that, where somebody is getting stuck on a job, and you can see and you can analyze that data in real time to know, hey, buddy, you're stuck on this. We can see you're stuck on it. Systems let us know you are. There's no pride in sitting there and trying to nut out a problem. We can help you do it. So absolutely, we do data analysis in our firm hourly.
I love, and this is, I just remembered one of the things that you use is that the EverPerform app. So yep. I assume you use that workflow report to feed the data into EverPerform?
Correct.
And just, do you want to just give everyone a little summary of the two lines together and what that means? I love that bit.
Yeah, so what we do is EverPerform, and those who don't know it, it's a performance management HR system designed for accounting firms, other businesses. So one of the things that we do in there is that we upload from our practice management systems on a regular basis up to the system, and we can trend the information together. Now, where this stuff gets really cool is that we also ask a series of non-financial KPI questions about how the team's going, how they're feeling, have they got everything they need to deliver. And from here, we're actually able to do a bit of trend analysis and sentiment analysis and everything, and actually see how they're performing and how they're feeling and what correlations there are between the data. So we can actually start addressing issues before they become issues. It became really cool in how we can start hitting issues before they build up into something bigger and resentment. So we do that. We push data up to analyze daily, and we collect feedback from the staff fortnightly on sentiment analysis and things like that. And it's truly remarkable once you've got that flow of information, the insight that can come out of it.
We actually have that as a session at Accountech.Live with your boss, CEO Matt
Yep.
Accountech.
Yeah.
So check that one out. It's very cool. How to get ROI, from memory, something like how to get ROI on your people spend or something like that. Really
yeah.
Cool. Dan, we're just coming up on the half hour, and people need to jack back into the network. But don't worry, you can hear all the gory details of Dan's session at Accountech.Live. The session again is called How a Regional Firm Uses Data Engineering in Advisory. Tuesday, 4:25 p.m. We left the best till last. And a reminder that Accountech.Live includes 130 seminars, roundtables, tech talks over 2 days in Melbourne, completely free to attend if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, but you have to register before November 12, otherwise you get stung for $60. So register for free now, easy. Dan, thank you so much. Really looking forward to hearing your session. I will be there, and I'm sure we'll have a packed room. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much, Sholto, and I'll see you shortly.
See you soon. Bye-bye.